Well, joining me now live from Tel Aviv is spokesperson for the Israel Defense Forces, Peter Lerner. Mr. Lerner, thank you very much for joining us here on the program. This incident is a tragic, horrific one known to the world. And we have obviously now done this report. But I want to ask you right now whether the IDF was in the area when this happened or not.
Yalda, thank you for the opportunity. Obviously, the dramatic images, the pain of the mother and the death of Hind is a true tragedy of this war. As we informed and as Stuart Ramsey rightly pointed out from our initial investigation, we did not find that on that day there were forces in that area, that there was any ability to conduct this alleged attack against the vehicle. It doesn't mean that there weren't gunmen around. It doesn't mean that there wasn't an exchange of fire. It doesn't mean that this vehicle perhaps wasn't caught in the crossfire between forces. But from what we understand now, and from the IDF investigation, no, there were no forces, and this is whatever it is. It's a tragedy for the family and for the outcome.
So you're saying, so Mr. Lerner, you're saying that IDF forces were not in the area at the time. That is despite satellite imagery conducted by Planet, I'm just going to pull it up on our screen, which does show IDF forces, the presence of IDF forces in the area on the day of this incident.
No, as I said, we have not found this to be actual. I don't know when these images, when they were taken. I can't confirm that. From our investigation, we were not in that area. I think that it's important
this satellite imagery. So I'm not talking about Sky News's geolocated. We've geolocated this, but I'm talking about Planet.
No, you didn't. You didn't geolocate the locations of the vehicles. You geolocated the location of the private vehicles. That does not necessarily mean that the IDF conducted a strike. We need to be very, very clear.
That's not what I'm accusing you here, Mr. Lerner. What I'm saying is the imagery that I have just pulled up on our screen, we're just going to show our audience that imagery again. It was done by Planet. Planet is a well-respected satellite imagery company. Are you disputing what they have pulled up here?
Yalda, I have nothing to add beyond the response that we've given you, that we have, from our investigation, there were no forces in that location, and therefore we can't confirm this happened. I can say that because of the severity, because of the concerns, it has been transferred to the independent of the chain of command inquiry mechanism that is established by the IDF, and they are continuing their investigation.
And so just help me understand, Mr. Lerner, you say that, from your understanding, your forces weren't there, but that is despite what we're seeing on our screens.
Yeah, but we need to work based on not what we take just by an aerial photograph that does not prove the line of sight, does not necessarily clarify that these are actually military vehicles. They could be anything. You can't identify this from the aerial photograph you're showing.
Then what? So why did you put out a press release to say that you were
put an accusatory tone to me? I really want to be here, and I'm here in the interview, and I'm saying from our investigation, we were not able to determine IDF presence on that day in this location. I don't know where this or who this or what date actually was taken. Of course, the IDF has conducted extensive military operations throughout the Gaza Strip, almost everywhere. And there are, and as you showed in one of those videos, in different locations. And it's also important to note that, and it is important, that on the 7th of October last year, in ambulances, Hamas terrorists, the Nukhba forces, penetrated into Israel, or came to the Erez crossing and launched their attacks from within ambulances.
And Mr. Lerner, I want you to be here, and we've invited you here so that you can respond and you get your chance to respond. And of course, we have covered what happened on that horrific day on October 7 in detail. But I just want to talk to you about this particular incident. In terms of what we have geolocated, I just want to talk you through what we have geolocated. We geolocated the car. It was taken an hour after the Palestinian Red Crescent were told it was clear to enter.
And as we said, there was no need for coordination there because there was no IDF forces. So we, as you said, and in the report, the whole concept of the coordination is disputed because there was no need for coordination. There has only been
But this
need
was an
for
active military
coordination in
zone,
specific
and
locations.
the Palestinian Red Crescent can't just enter these zones if it's an active military zone that the IDF
There are
controls.
thousands of
And based
movements
on this,
of ambulances. No, there are thousands of movements every single day in the Gaza Strip. So that's not true. In this case, there was no coordination. As I said, this is from our investigation, from what we understand today. And I hope if there is something else, if we have come to a different conclusion, that we will come forward and make it very, very clear. I can say that there are over 70 investigations of the IDF, of the military police, of perhaps potential crimes, criminal actions that the IDF is conducting. This is not one of them because we were not able to find in that. But when we have cases, whether it's the breach of the laws of armed conflict or looting or excessive use of violence, these types of things, then it happens.
253 days. It has been 253 days since this incident where Hind Rajab was killed. How long does this investigation take?
I can't comment on specifics. Each individual investigation is based on what evidence you have, on the types of forces, who was the forces. As I said, there is no military police investigation in this case, because there has been no identification of wrongdoing on behalf of the military. The incident itself is being investigated by a separate mechanism.
Tell us about this press release, which was put out to say that you were conducting operations in the area, that you were present there. We're just looking at that press release now. And then the press release completely disappeared off your sites.
Yalda, I don't know. If I would have known before the interview, I would have looked into it. I really don't know.
So basically, I just want to make it clear that the satellite imagery that Planet, a very respected satellite imagery company that has conducted all sorts of investigations when it comes to Ukraine, for example, and some of the incidents that we've seen in Ukraine in places like Bucha. We've seen them conduct investigations in China and what's been going on with the Uyghurs there, for example. They have also given us this satellite imagery, and you're disputing what they're saying, that there was military presence on that day.
I'm saying that our investigation found that there was no military presence on that day. Despite that, we've passed it on to the independent investigation mechanism to try and determine if there was. And if they come to a different conclusion, they will pass it on to the Military Advocate General that will look into it. And if needs be, we'll open an investigation.
Mr. Lerner, Antonio Guterres has said today that fundamentally there is something wrong with the way that Israel is, prosecuting this conflict. I just want to play a little clip of what he said.
There is something fundamentally wrong in the way this war is being conducted. Ordering civilians to evacuate does not keep them safe if they have no safe place to go, and no shelter, food, medicine, or water. And no place is safe in Gaza, and no one is safe. International law is unambiguous. Civilians everywhere must be respected and protected, and their essential needs must be met, including through humanitarian assistance.
Mr. Lerner, I just want you to respond to that because, of course, there's been a lot of criticism in the way in which Israel has handled this conflict over the course of the last year.
It's not really for me to respond to the UN Secretary General. What I can say from the IDF's perspective, of course, we operate within the realm of the laws of armed conflict. That's a professional responsibility that we have. Of course, unfortunately, the understanding that our enemy is taking advantage completely of these laws of armed conflict and intentionally positioning all of their weapons of terror within the civilian arena, whether it's Hezbollah in the north or Hamas in the south. That is what they've done. That is what we've shown time and time again. You've reported it extensively, where their tunnels are, where they're launching their rockets from, how they're operating. I just gave you an example of how they approached the Erez crossing when they breached into Israel on the 7th of October in an ambulance. They have no regard for the laws of armed conflict. They take advantage of the laws of armed conflict to conduct their acts of terrorism. So, of course, when the IDF operates in evacuation of a specific location, or a broader area of operations where they're planning to cooperate. This is not only against the concept of modern warfare, where the whole concept of the element of surprise,
Mr. Lerner,
you are ceding that to the enemy.
But Mr. Lerner, Israel is expected to also adhere to the laws of armed conflict.
And I would absolutely agree that we are adhering in a way which is setting a professional precedent among militaries. Of course, it doesn't. There is no excuse, and when there is wrongdoing, we come forward. We say we have presented to the public, especially in severe cases. But of course, our responsibility is to secure the safety of Israel within the laws of armed conflict. And I would absolutely argue that we are within that realm. When we are wrong, we come forward and say so. And the other, I think it's really important that that the enemy understands this completely, so that we would be having this discussion. If you're asking us not to fight a terrorist organization, not to protect Israeli civilians,
on the state of
I just want to finish this
how it
last point.
Be handling.
I just want to finish this point. If you're asking us or expecting that Israel will not defend its civilians because Hamas or Hezbollah are hiding behind Gazan civilians or Lebanese civilians, there is no comparison. You can't expect this. So what we do is, yes, of course, we evacuate. Yes, what we do is we ask people to evacuate. As I said, we give our enemy an operational advantage in the battlefield by telling them basically where we're going so that they can set up their ambushes. So I would argue, yes, there are absolutely that we are responsible. We adhere to the laws of armed conflict. We hold them dearly. Our combat soldiers hold our code of ethics close to their heart. It does not change the situation that we are facing an enemy that takes that code of ethics, reads it, learns from it, and abuses it.
Mr. Lerner, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.